This video is for the Unit 2 Renew review over inequalities, and this is going to be the Monday's homework side, homework problems 1 through 10. Problem 1 asks us to solve and then graph the solutions of 10 minus 3p is less than negative 28. So the first thing I'm going to do is box my variable, or my term, with the variable. Notice that in my box, the negative is with the 3p because the negative in front means that it goes with the 3p. So my second step is going to be subtract 10 from both sides because I need to move a positive 10. I move a positive by doing the opposite, which is negative. This cancels and I have negative 3p is less than 18. Step 3 is going to be divide by negative 3. And if you notice, I said that divide by negative 3, which throws in a step 4 for us, which is to flip our sign. Because my step is dividing by a negative 3, I then need to flip my sign at the end. So I divide both sides by negative 3. The negative 3 on the left cancels, and I'm left with p. 18 divided by negative 3 is negative 6. And then again, like I said, step 4, because I divided by a negative, I flip my sign. Step 5 is to graph using my purple sheet if you still have it. When we read this, it says that p is greater than negative 6. So I'm going to go to negative 6 and do an open bubble. Remember, I do not have a line under the inequality, so I leave my bubble open. Greater goes to the right. We can remember that because greater has two r's, so I'm going to write or draw my arrow to the right side. For problem 2, Erin, a famous model, uses social media to communicate with her fans. She learns that she can influence her popularity if she can increase her social media presence. Unfortunately, if she communicates too often, it will have the opposite effects. She discovers she needs to post on social media at most 70 times each week. So at most, meaning 70 is the most, or the highest, or the greatest that she can have each week. So my inequality is going to be facing the opposite direction. Remember, we talked about if you have, like, way back when you learned about the inequalities, like the alligator eats the biggest or the greatest. So if the most she can have is 70, my inequality needs to eat the 70. Now, so far this week, she has made 23. Write an inequality that can be used to show the social number of media posts P that she needs to meet in order to meet her goals. So she's already posted 23. And she needs an additional amount, P, for her goal. All they asked me to do here is write my inequality, so that's my answer. Problem 3, they want me to write and solve. Sean wants to buy tickets for him and his friends to go to a music festival that will showcase all their favorite artists. The tickets cost $97. If he has $1,164 to spend on tickets, so again, you cannot spend more money than you have. So this would be the greatest amount. So my inequality, whatever he spends, needs to be less than or equal to what he has. This just reminded me on problem 2, at most 70 could include 70, so I need to do a little line up there. I apologize. So the most that he could spend is $1,164. He could spend exactly that. He could spend less than that. But what he spends needs to be less than what he has. He has $1,164. The tickets cost $97 each, so 97 times the letter T, because we don't know how many he gets. And we don't see any more information. There's nothing about an online processing fee. There's not a one-time fee, so it's just 97 times T. In order to solve, we are going to divide by 97 on both sides. When we do, because 97 is positive, we don't worry about flipping our sign. So the 1,164 divided by 97 is 12. What this means in words, t must be less than or equal to 12, so at most 12 tickets. You could also say he could buy up to 12, he could buy less than or equal to 12, something around that. He cannot buy any more than 12. He could buy 12 exactly. On these problems, they ask us to solve and graph. So 4 through 7, I'm going to try to write out my steps at the same time. Step 1, I notice that on one side I have multiple X's being written out. Remember, this is like if you go into McDonald's and you say, I want 6 hamburgers and 9 order of fries. Oh wait, take away 4 of those hamburgers. They're not going to say, all right, ma'am, you ordered 6 hamburgers, you ordered 9 fries, and then you asked us to take away 4. They would tell you, after they combine your terms, they would tell you if you have 6 X's and you take away 4, so remember if I circle this, the sign in front goes with it because it's on the same side we combine. We do exactly what the operations say. 6 minus 4 is 2 X's. Everything else stays the same. From here, I box my term. And remember, you can do that on step 1 and see that you have 2 boxes, or like I have 2 circles. So if you have 2 circles, you have to put them together. Step 2 is to box my term, and then step 3 is to move what's outside of my box. So what's outside of my box is a positive 9, meaning I need to subtract 9 to make it disappear over to the other side. Remember, we cannot make things disappear completely, but we can move them. So 2x is greater than negative 10. Step 4 would be divide by 2, because 2 is on the same side of x and not, it's put together through multiplication. I get rid of it through division. So x is greater than negative 5. When I graph this, if I put 0 in the middle, negative 5 would be to the left. I'm going to have an open bubble because I do not have the line under the inequality. And x is everything greater than again goes to the right. You can remember that greater has 2 r's, r is to the right. Or right starts with r. Okay, so again, combine my like terms, move the 9 to the other side, divide by 2. Problem 5. I notice here I just have one x. Over here, I just have one number, which means I'm just going to do one thing. I am going to divide both sides by 4. Again, I'm dividing because when there's no operation listed, it's multiplication. And 4x, there's no operation, so it's multiplication. My 4's cancel on this side, so I have negative 8 is less than x. Now for my step 2, I am going to switch everything. The easiest way to switch, sorry, I'm doing it in green. The easiest way to switch is to write it directly under your answer. The reason I am switching is to help myself with graphing. If you are okay with graphing this, you do not have to switch it to get the right answer. However, if you struggle with graphing or if that's not your high point, switching this will help you. Remember, we switch everything. So x comes to the left side, negative 8 comes to the right, and my sign flips because I am switching everything. From here, I can graph because I have my letter on the left, letter left, letter left. And so my inequality is going to be that x is greater than negative 8. So again, my negatives are to the left of 0. I again have an open bubble because there's no line under the inequality, and greater than goes to the right. For step 6, or for problem 6, my first step is going to be multiply by negative 3. I can immediately see what my second step would be because I said the words multiply by negative 3. So because I said multiply by negative, I'm going to have to flip my sign. Now I'm going to wait. Again, I'm going to multiply first and then flip my sign afterwards. So whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Now keep in mind, the whole reason we are multiplying is because this means x divided by -3. The opposite of division is multiplication. So -3 divided by -3 is what's happening over here, and it cancels. That's why we are multiplying. So do not tell me that we now have -3x, because we don't. The -3 is canceled. 5 times -3 is -15, and I'm going to flip my sign because, like I said, I'm multiplied by a negative. Step 3 is to graph my letters on the left side, which is convenient for graphing, so I can go ahead and graph. I have 0, 15 would be on the positive or the right side. This time I'm going to have a filled in bubble because there is a line under my inequality, and x is everything less than or equal to, oh poop, that's a -15. I'm so sorry. -15, still a closed bubble. Less than -15 would be more negative. So less than still always goes to the left, but this time because we have negatives, it's not going to pass 0. Problem 7, my first step here is to get rid of the parentheses. I get rid of them by distributing. So I take -6 and distribute it to 4. And be very careful here. I take -6 and distribute it to -x. The less than 6 stays where it is for now. When I multiply these, -6 times 4 is -24. Be very careful here. -6 times -x, negative times negative is a positive. So I distribute and then I multiply, which is part of the distributing. So if you don't want to write that step, just make sure you remember that you multiply. Also, please, 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 please remember that a negative times a negative is a positive. Remember that this is the invisible ninja, -1. So to check yourself on the calculator, type in -6 times -1, and it will tell you it is a +6. Now, step 3 is to box my term. My term is a +6x. So I need to move what is outside of my term. I need to move what's outside of my box, excuse me. So outside of my box is a -24, meaning I need to add 24 to both sides to make it cancel. So I add 24 to both sides. So I have 6x is less than 30. And then I'm going to divide by 6, again because 6 and x are attached through multiplication. I get rid of it by dividing, and x is less than 5. Step 6 is to graph. My letter's on the left, so I don't have to switch anything. I have 0, I have 5. This time I promise it's positive. I'm going to have an open bubble because there's no line under the inequality. X is less than -5, less than goes to the left. Less than and left start with L's. Greater than and right both have R's. Problem 8, they want you to use the inequality below and identify two numbers, one that is a solution and one that is not a solution. The easiest thing here, your solution is anything where the line is. So anything greater than -7. And this one, they're not asking you to write the inequality. They want you to pick one number that's a solution. So find something smack dab in the middle of that line. A solution could be 2, could be 4, 10, -6. Anything that that line is over would be a solution. Not a solution would be anything the line is not over. In this instance, the bubble over -7 is empty, so -7 would count as not a solution. Problem 9, I'm guessing they want us to write and solve. So bride and groom are choosing between two different wedding locations. Austin Manor is $750 plus $30 per guest. The veranda costs $2,280. For what number of guests does the manor exceed the veranda? So where is the manor greater than the veranda? Exceed would be more expensive. Okay. So if we write it in letters first, we're looking for where M is greater than B. So now I'm going to fill in information about the manor and the veranda. The manor tells me it is $750 plus $30 per guest. That per tells us to multiply. Guest tells us we have an unknown amount, so we're going to use G. Nowhere in this problem does it say how many guests. In fact, it asks for what number of guests, meaning we don't know. If we don't know, don't plug a number in there. Use a letter. They tell us that the veranda is $2,280. That's all we know. It's a one-time or a big fee, but there is no specific cost per guest. In order to solve, I'm going to box my variable or my term. So I box 30G. Outside of my box is 750. It is positive, so I'm going to subtract it. I am left with 30G on the left side. And then I have 2,280, and I'm subtracting 750, so that is 1,530. From here, I'm going to divide by 30 on both sides because 30G is attached through multiplication. When I divide by 30, I get 51. Okay, if you want to write this in words, this would be guests over 51 or over 51 guests. Now here it asks where the manor is more expensive or exceeds. It does not ask where they are equal, which is why we don't have the equal sign. And my answer would need to be G is greater than 51 or over 51 guests. At 51 guests, it's going to be the same. Problem 10 asks me to circle all the solutions that are not a solution of the inequality. Well, first we have to find out what that solution set would be. So I'm going to box my term, or my variable, the term with the variable. Outside of that box is a positive 2, so I'm going to move the 2 by subtraction. So move or subtract 2. I'm left with negative 4m on the left side and negative 20 on the right. Step 3, we have negative 4 times m, so I'm going to divide by negative 4. And again, like I've been saying, my immediate other step is going to be flip my sign because I just said the words divide by negative. So I'm going to divide by negative 4. And just to be safe, because I'm already thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and flip my sign so I don't forget to do that. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 cancels, and I'm left with m. Negative 20 divided by negative 4 is a positive 5. This means m is greater than or equal to 5. So I need to circle everything that is not greater than or equal to 5. Well, 5 equals 5, 6 is greater than 5, 4 is not greater than 5, 2 is not greater than 5, 3 is not greater than 5, 10 is greater than 5, negative 1 is not greater than 5, and 8 is greater than 5. So 4, 2, 3, and negative 1 would all not be solutions because they are not greater than or equal to 5.